Welcome into this Thursday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready, Clark Ford Studio here this morning. Jeffrey Wright joining us in a matter of minutes, as he does every Thursday. We'll discuss lines and picks for this weekend's college football games and whatever else suits our fancy over the course of the next hour and so many minutes. I told you yesterday it was red beans and rice day, then I had to correct myself. It was meatloaf. Today is red beans and rice at the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. So stop into the Blue Sky location for that. Also, their hot case with chicken, other plenty pork, ribs. We'll wrap them up, have them ready to go. Whatever it is that suits your fancy there. You get the lunch special. It comes with any size fountain drink and bread as well. And, they're giving away 7 official Ole Miss game day football jerseys this season. Another one next week for Auburn. And anytime you make a purchase at the Blue Sky, you can enter to win that competition. So each purchase, an extra chance to win an official Ole Miss jersey. Again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are. Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes. In business hours, right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. The rest completely up to you. You can shop that quote around. Or you can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. 662-257-1900. Guest, including Jeffrey Wright, who will join momentarily. Join on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Rafters Music and Food on the Square in Oxford. Great place to grab a burger, a po' boy, an appetizer, a beer, full bar, and more. Check in early in the evening before the college kids take over and have a good time. And don't forget, if you're coming up next weekend for the Auburn game, stop at Rafters. Make it a part of your weekend. Again, that's Rafters on the Square in Oxford, and don't forget about Rafters in New Albany.
See on the internet that Otis Reese, one of, 10 or so football players who have signed NIL deals with the Reeses. They are signing every player that has the last name of Reese to NIL deals. That deal, I have no idea if it has any monetary value at all, but it also includes some sort of Reese's Reese gold chain, pendant, cup, a mini fridge for the Reese's.
Call Skype, right?
If he answers.
There he is.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm having one of those days, man, where it's like a mix of I think multiple senior moments compounded with.
You seem a little frazzled.
Compounded with the day got really busy this morning, kind of out of the blue. You always know your day's going to suck off the bat when you wake up.
Are we talking it got busy work-wise or life-wise?
Life-wise. No, work-wise. Okay. Work-wise, it's just Thursday. I mean, I'm used to Thursday just kind of being all day.
Yeah, no, but that can also be when all of a sudden you're used to routine and then a Thursday becomes insane out of nowhere. I didn't know which way it was going, frazzled-wise.
The omen, I should say, was when you wake up to the sound of a dog getting ready to throw up. That's the worst sound in the world. Because there's nothing you can do.
There's actually a worse one, but it doesn't apply to you. The cat. I mean, oh God, cats suck.
Yeah, that's on you.
No, it's not.
That's on you.
And by the way, I dropped, because I call her my first and only cat. Really, I call her my wife's cat, which is what she is. Let's be clear. But I told Aaliyah, enjoy your last cat. And then last night she's trying to when we get a bigger house and a new cat, I was like, new cat. You are more likely to get 2 dogs than 1 more cat.
They live 20 years, though.
I know, it's a shame.
Yeah.
Be sad if something really bad happened to it. Really, really terrible. Oh, my God. No, I forgot to lock the door. No. Oh, no.
Oh, gosh. Doggone.
The door was open for 10 days. What? No. I got a physical on Monday, and that didn't go well.
How'd it go? What happened?
First off, nothing better than the super judgy nurse practitioner. Oh, so you're heavier than the last time you were here. Why is that? I'm looking at her as she is at least 50 pounds overweight. It's I don't know. Would you like to go? First off, there was a pandemic, ma'am, and it was a real thing, and it was tragic, and it was terrible. Secondly, I got married that year. I was in better shape. What do you want from me here? What do you want here?
How much did you put on?
It was like 15 pounds.
That's not terrible.
Well, then the other answer is, well, you know, I don't have stupid pills, and that's why I'm here. I've been without them for 2 weeks. I've been eating a little bit more.
Blood work.
Then
okay?
the other great thing about me in a physical is those nurses, like, they look at me and they're like, so you don't exercise, you don't work out. And then they take my vitals and they're always like shocked. They think that like I've somehow cheated. Like it's always very fun to see that look in a nurse's eyes when you like don't compute with them. Like how is your blood pressure good? How is like they don't understand all of it. It's very weird to them.
Was your BP okay though? Everything was good. All
no,
your vitals,
literally, like that's the only like
work?
that's the thing. It's like I think she threw in that you're heavier because like she was kind of pissed. Like it was like it was almost like she couldn't believe that like my vitals were everything was good. But the real problem was I had a nice system set up with my old nurse practitioner. Like we had a good thing. Like there was she would like, he'd probably make some choices that I wouldn't, but at the same time, it's like she just checked like the numbers, and as long as the numbers were okay, it's like we had a very like business relationship. And then she went to like a cardiologist, and since then it's just been a disaster.
I always like when they ask you the questions. They say, "Do you smoke? No. Do you drink? Yes. How often? Does it matter?"
Yeah, like no, it's almost like it's like. Does that number really matter to you, or is it just, like I'm convinced it's just to make themselves feel better?
Yeah, and then I was like, "Well, how many drinks a night would you say that you have?" I'm like, "I don't know. Who's counting? I don't count. Does it matter?"
Well, it's like also like I don't know. Are we doing that weird thing where like a half of an ounce is one drink? Like, or what's your standard unit here? How about football?
I was kind of enjoying this more. I get to Thursday and I've talked so much football that I'm footballed out.
Oh, that was the other great thing. Oh, so you're in sports. You must be loving talking about this Albert Pujols thing. Oh, ma'am, you don't listen to the radio. Oh, you do not.
You'd get fired if you mentioned Pujols there.
Oh,
right?
Well, you can kind of get away with like mentioning it in passing, but like, she was like under the impression like that we would do a whole show on it. It's like, no. Penny's got some 2024 recruits that we got to talk about.
Did you hear about this Judge guy hitting 62?
So I'm kind of the anomaly. I'm pretty indifferent to the Yankees in general. I am now 100% in the playoffs. I have two teams. I'm rooting for the Cardinals and whoever's playing the Yankees. I like this. Them trying to make this a thing is insane to me.
Yeah, they really forced it. I don't know who was behind it. I guess this is the whole Disney ESPN thing. It's like, okay, so suddenly the last week of September and the first week of October, you're going to tell us there's a baseball season and try to force it down our throats. And I'm a baseball guy. I mean,
No, we're collectively the audience. We like baseball.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm like, you can't. It's like walking me into a movie theater an hour and 57 minutes into the movie and going, you've got to see these last 8 minutes. I don't know that
There's such a difference between acknowledgement and care, because I'm like, okay, that's cool. I agree. You know, maybe we can even have the conversation. Is it the real record? All that kind of crap. But care? No, I don't care at all. Like, there's no emotional.
Well, let's say what no one's willing to say. Do any of you, gun to your head, want to go and say, can y'all with 100% certainty go, is Aaron Judge clean? How many can actually, if their life depended on it, answer yes? I'm willing to bet it's very few people.
It's the exact conversation I had yesterday. Someone said, why are people not more excited about this? I'm like, because we got burned.
Yes.
That, or you just not.
We've seen it before.
No, we got burned.
If he's a skinny dude, you care? I don't. Like, that's my point. Like, I don't know that I give a crap anyway.
Was it 98 when McGuire and Sosa had the season?
But that was a different deal. That was a whole different era, different situation.
It was, but we were all glued to it. The country was riveted to every Sammy Sosa at bat. Every
It was
Mark
the first
McGuire
time in my family that we ever watched TV at dinner. Now, the mistake from my mother's part was give an inch, we'll take a mile. We literally never went an entire dinner the rest of our lives without watching TV.
But you're right. We were glued to that. We were riveted to it.
They would show McGuire and Sosa's batting practice.
And the country didn't complain.
But I guess it's two different things. Is that simply because it's all tarnished and we're doing the whole record thing, or is it because Judge might be on it? Those are two different conversations.
I think it's because, first off, you can't tell. First off, there's no such thing as an American League record. Does anybody know what the Western Conference record is for points in a season? Does anybody know what the NFC record is for a touchdown passes? Like,
great point. Yep.
Like, no one cares. Like, we have a major league record. We have NFL records. We have NBA records. We have NHL records. We don't have division records. We don't, like, none of it matters. And so the other point is, like, we've seen this. And then further, I think the big part about it is what they completely missed is this was primarily media driven. And it was the ultimate, it's happening in New York, therefore it matters. And this is, if you want to tie it to college football, this is my problem with it. Did you notice any cut-ins to Aaron Judge at bats during Monday Night Football for ESPN?
Yeah, they skipped that one. They didn't interrupt the king. They went, no, that's all right. If you want the baseball game, you'll go find the baseball game. It'd be all right. Here's the deal, though. Here's what's frustrating about it is it's because they're actually having the clean or not clean conversation, but they won't come out and say it. Had we never had the steroid thing and Bonds just had the record, we wouldn't be doing this right now. Had he not been a steroid guy.
No, they're asking us to read between the lines, and most of us can. Like, I can read between the lines. Jeffrey can read between the lines. You can read between the lines. But there are people out there who cannot read between the lines. And by doing what they're doing, they're admitting without saying out loud that Bonds cheated like a son of a bitch. And McGuire and Sosa cheated.
Like CBS HQ, I can't remember who tweeted over it, but it's like, who is the home run king? And someone quote tweeted and goes, the guy with the most. Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of baseball's problem is that you don't know what records are real. But no, I mean, I watch Aaron Judge and look, I mean, it looks like a good, wholesome story, but someone goes, gun to your head, do you think he's clean? And I say, gun to my head, I hope he's clean.
Well, the problem with baseball is because it has so much history, the numbers have an overinflated value, in my opinion. Like, in every other sport, we can apply context. Like, we understand people that played without the three-pointer, scoring numbers were different. We understand that 90s basketball is different than basketball in 2022. The spacing, the pace, everything. So we do in football, like, we understand the passing game in 1974 is very different than the passing game today. We can apply context, but with baseball, it's like, no, the numbers are all that matter. It's like, do you realize how many changes have happened in baseball? Like, stadiums. The baseball has changed at least, 3 times? I think it's changed twice in my lifetime. I think it's changed 3 times total. But it's almost like, no, you're not allowed to apply context. We have to be so black and white with baseball, which I don't get.
All right, let's get to some football because I want to ask you about a couple of games that I think are really interesting. I'm watching lines on a couple of games because it's involving quarterbacks, and this is something that you couldn't do in the NFL.
No, I complained about this week.
You probably know where I'm going. In the NFL, 2 days before game day, you would know if Aaron Rodgers was playing. You would know.
Daniel Jones is the perfect example.
Yeah,
the Giants can't hide whether or not he's going to play. Now, there's 2 giveaways. One, they did not sign anyone during the week, and B, they had to put he practiced today.
So Sam Pittman's playing Coy. Arkansas's at Mississippi State. If Jefferson's playing, plus 9.5 is a pretty good buy. If Jefferson's not playing, I want no part of it. Mark Stoops is doing the same thing with Kentucky, and I'm kind of scrolling down for the line a little bit.
Has that one moved? Because I just saw.
Yeah.
To your point, like, I woke up this morning and see Levis may not play. It's like, well, that kind of changes things.
So if Will Levis doesn't play, Kentucky -6 is not a good buy. If Will Levis is playing, I love Kentucky -6 all day long. This is something that I think the college game, if they're going to make gambling as big a part of it as they're kind of making it with all the stuff, and they are, all the betting shows, and make no mistake, you're seeing it mentioned on that game day, and you're seeing it mentioned all the time about betting lines. At some point, with the players getting paid, the players, all that stuff, at some point, I think there's got to be some accountability for injuries and things of that nature. Like, I need to know before I bet on Kentucky, South Carolina, is Will Levis playing? Before I bet on Arkansas, Mississippi State, is KJ Jefferson playing? Yesterday, Pittman said that, if I remember reading it correctly, that he passed something and he was able to participate yesterday and he would travel, but that's all he'd commit to. Well, now, wait a minute. Is he playing? Because if he's playing, I like getting 9.5 points in that game. If he's not, I'm laying 9.5 points all day long. I'm spending the money ahead of time.
So my big thought on this, and I have not seen the numbers. Usually we should be getting them pretty soon. I need to know, how did Vegas do on college football in the month of September? Because the reality is, we see these lines that are moving massively. Like, what Arkansas State opened at 5.
It opened at 5. It opened at 4.5 or 5, and it's gone all the way to 9.5. And I think at one point it was up over 10. Everyone in the thread is saying he hasn't practiced all week. Listen to what I'm saying. All Pittman said at the beginning of the week was that you had to participate in some form of team activity by Wednesday to travel. And he did, and he is traveling. So to say that he's not playing, you're putting words in the guy's mouth. He's correct. He's playing coy.
So my gut instinct is we will not see something happen until these books start getting hammered on college football. Yeah. My suspicion, I know Neal's doing great in Neal's picks. I've not talked to a lot of people that bet college football pretty regularly that are exactly having a fantastic season. My suspicion is, until the books start getting hammered and burned by this, they're kind of okay with it.
And I guess, can we read anything to the line movement that's happened? I mean, like South Carolina, Kentucky is a good example, because that thing has fallen precipitously. I mean, it's a 5-6 point drop. Doesn't that mean they probably know something? I mean, I still know we're speculating, and I agree with both of you guys. You've got to do something.
Well, there's people in Vegas that have contacts.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, isn't that level of line movement probably indicative that Levis is not playing?
I mean, like, for example, I know Caleb Warren's playing.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, practice hasn't been open. I've got contacts on the roster.
I don't think it's 100 per. So I guess what I would say is, it's a lot like political projections, but it's not. I don't think you can sit there and go, well, the line dropped 6 points, so that means Levis is not playing. It means, to me, they are preparing themselves for Levis not to play, and they're moving the line so that they're not exposed on both sides.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
That's what it implies to me. Like, so for instance, let's go in the opposite direction. I think A&M opened at like 18.5, and then it quickly got moved to 24. I'm still not convinced that means Bryce Young's playing, but I do think what it means is they are preparing themselves in case Bryce Young plays, that they're not exposed on both, just one way.
Yeah, that line right now is Alabama minus 24. The over-under is 51.5.
Yeah, I mean, to me, if I'm Saban, I'm strongly considering, I'm personally would be more worried about the game next week than I am this one.
There ain't no doubt about it.
Like, listen, I understand Milroe is not Bryce Young. I think Milroe can do enough to beat them. Do you all think Milroe can score in the 20s? Because I do.
No, I do, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know that Milroe can go into Knoxville and beat Tennessee.
That would be my concern. And, I mean, you can do the whole, okay, well, he sprained his shoulder. It was disaster averted. Man, I just go to, what did my eyes see? And my eyes saw, as soon as he came off the field, he chunked his helmet going into the tent. And maybe that was disaster averted, but I'm a big believer of oftentimes athletes will kind of tell you without having to tell you. That to me suggested, man, that wasn't just getting banged up.
Here's all that I needed to see. Arkansas came back in that game. I know they didn't win.
But he didn't go back in.
It's 28-23. Arkansas had gotten within 5 points. That stadium was crazy. The security guards were letting the students back in. They never do. They were letting them back in. That place was about to get bonkers. Nick Saban hates losing. And
he also knows that his team's not been great on the road the last couple of years.
Yeah, and they left Milroe in, and there was no sign of them ever even thinking about going to Bryce Young. And Milroe made a big play. He made the 77-yard run, and you know the rest. They dominated the fourth quarter and won the game. But I don't think Bryce Young was coming back. Even if, let's say that 3rd and 15, they get 2 and they end up having to punt, and Arkansas gets the ball, drives down and scores and takes a 30-28 lead or 31-20, whatever. I don't think Bryce Young was coming in. I think they were going to lose the game in Fayetteville if that's what it meant. I don't think he was available.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that that's not just a day-to-day thing, but I could be completely wrong on that. I mean, I think the other bigger question for me is when we talk about injury reports and whatnot, for there to have to be injury reports and whatnot, the real difference to me is you're going to have some type of organizational structure in college football. This is kind of the last thing that coaches really control in college football outside of their own program. They have been adamant about no injury reports, and they've basically gotten their way until someone says that something's got to change. And I don't know who can tell them that. I guess it becomes a commissioner's thing. But in the end, what incentive right now does Greg Sankey have to have uniform injury reports? They're getting all the money from the books, the books at this point. That's kind of the other thing about sports media right now. What helped sports during the pandemic was how much money the gambling companies started, boosting sports in.
So what do you think about Ole Miss Vanderbilt? That line's sitting at about 17. You and I both laid the points. Brian and Chase did not.
Yeah, I would feel better betting the first half than I do betting the game, because I don't think at this point it's no longer a coincidence. Ole Miss really struggles when they try to throttle down putting teams away, and that screams backdoor with a big number. It screams, okay, Ole Miss, you're never going to really doubt whether or not Ole Miss is going to win the game, but the line is a different question. My suspicion, I wrote it, Kiffin's not gone at Ole Miss. He's not gone 3 straight games without covering. Vanderbilt doesn't seem like the game for me. Vanderbilt feels like a game that Ole Miss is going to be able to run on them, put them away, and then get out to go to next week. But I don't know. I mean, Vanderbilt right now is in that team building mode, and so it feels like you're going to get 4 quarters out of them. So if you wanted to take the points, I don't think that's stupid.
I just don't know how they're scoring. That's what worries me about taking the points. And I'm doing it, but I mean...
Well, they'll score by having their, Wright running around and just kind of making stuff happen against the backups.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a legit...
Because
I had a friend last week text me, they're going 11-1, right? And I was like, well, if they stay healthy, okay, I can envision that world. But I go, think about last year. For them, the thing about Ole Miss is I think their first 30 to 35 guys are all pretty darn good football players. But the drop-off's pretty severe. I mean, remember last year they lost 2 receivers, and then all of a sudden it's this offense is just Matt Corral by himself. Well, let Judkins get banged up for a couple of weeks. Evans to me doesn't look as fresh as he did at the beginning of the year. Now all of a sudden, and then we've already seen, when Warren got hurt, Ole Miss couldn't snap the ball. It's not necessarily, is this team capable of going 11-1? Probably. I think everything would have to break their way, but sure, okay. I'm not going, that's insane, but I mean, the odds of them staying healthy the whole season are not good.
To your point, two things. Chase puts out the snap counts on Monday, and they're not playing a bunch of guys. And I taped with Pete last night. You can see it later this evening. Pete's Pigskin Preview presented by Walk On Sports Bistro. He was talking about, we were kind of just talking big picture, and he just said he thought Ole Miss kind of looked tired. He thought Ole Miss looked a little worn. And so I do think if you get a lead and get a significant enough lead on Saturday afternoon, you got to think about getting your guys out. You know what's coming. You've got this gauntlet of 3 games before you get a weekend off. You've got Auburn, and then you got the road trip to Tiger Stadium, to Kyle Field. You've got it. I don't know that you can just keep your offense out there and pile it on, or keep your defense out there. You got to play some guys in large part because A, you need to build some depth, but B, and more importantly, you've just got to get starters some rest. You cannot continue week after week to play guys 80-something snaps and expect them to be fresh. It just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't.
Well, and further, I would also add, if you look at like the game, like take the Vanderbilt game from 2 years ago when Ole Miss just blew the doors off of them. They largely blew the doors off of them because they were able to just go get like so many explosive plays in the passing game and just jump on them. But right now, Ole Miss's passing game isn't that explosive, and their explosive plays are coming on the ground. But to that same point, like, how many carries do you want Judkins to get against Vanderbilt? Because I got to presume you'd like for him to get a lot more carries the next 3 games than you would this game, right?
Yeah, I want him carrying the football against Auburn, and then I need him and Evans if I'm Ole Miss. I need him and Evans as healthy as possible in Tiger Stadium. I do not, if I'm Ole Miss, I do not want to put that game in Jackson Dart's hands more than I have to. He's look, and you'll see it on Pete's show. Jackson's improving. Jackson's getting better. But he's still 19. He's still young. He's still very new to this, and you just don't want to go, hey, man, 106,000. They'd all like to rip your guts out right now. Game's on you. Go for it. You really want to minimize that.
I mean, I know some people might roll their eyes at this, but I don't think I'm wrong. I think another big aspect of this for Kiffin this year is he's not trying to win any awards for any players. Like, this isn't like a stats game to go get somebody the Heisman or go get somebody, into the national conversation. I think he knows he's got a pretty good team, and I think he knows that this team's going to be judged based on their record more so than like accolades. And I think you're kind of seeing that. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question for me that a lot of, particularly early last year, like, it was designed to get Matt Corral in the Heisman conversation, and he did. I mean, he became the betting favorite at one point.
He was very much a Heisman candidate until the moment he turned his ankle at the end of the Tennessee game.
Yeah.
Speaking of LSU, speaking of Tennessee, they play each other Saturday in a game I cannot wait to watch. I don't know why I'm so excited about this game. Other people like wanting to watch multiple games at 11. I think I'm just turning one screen on. Tennessee and LSU, for some reason, I think we're going to find out a whole bunch about both of these teams.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you because LSU's strength to me has been the back end of their defense. Like, I haven't really loved what I've seen about LSU's front 7. I do think that they've gotten better, but their back end's really good. And so what better team to test your secondary than Tennessee, who's just going to try to, test you vertically all night long. And then furthermore, it's not a fair apples to apples comparison, but like, I'm still not sure Florida's that good. And I know when we saw Pitt was a different team than the team that lost to Georgia Tech, but like, losing to Georgia Tech is kind of alarming to me. Like, I don't really care kind of what the scenario was. So there is still kind of a hesitation for me of like, how good is Tennessee? I think they can be good, but while maybe LSU's not going to be like the ultimate litmus test, I do think going on the road and going up against a physical team will tell us a lot more about Tennessee than what we've seen thus far. So I'm with you on that sense. I do think that like I understand football brain, but can we officially put to bed the is it going to work with Brian Kelly at LSU? Like remember that week 1?
Yes. Yeah. Well, you and I both pushed back on that pretty hard. It's going.
Like, hold on, people.
It's going to work. He wins everywhere he ever goes.
Does that mean he's winning a national title? I have no idea, but like, all of a sudden he gets to that job and he can't win there. Like,
incompetence is probably not the
answer. They've
answer.
had 2 idiots that have won there.
Yes.
Like,
an idiot and a completely incompetent idiot won.
Correct.
The incompetent idiot may have fielded the best team in the history of the sport.
Correct.
We're going to say that Brian Kelly can't win. This is Brian Kelly's worst team. Enjoy your opportunity while you have it. I'm not saying that LSU's going to win titles, that you can't beat them, all that stuff, but you're going to have to bring your lunch. I mean,
yes.
Listen, if you told me LSU beats Tennessee, I'm not remotely surprised. At all.
No, I'm not either, because this is the type of team that can beat them. Like the type, like now it is, but like Daniels is another question. Like we talk about the injury report, like, okay, well, I feel a lot better with Daniels than I do with Nussmeier,
Yeah. It's their offense is a little one-dimensional with Daniels, or a lot one-dimensional. But
it is, but like look at how many problems that Richardson gave them just by getting outside the pocket. Like, well, what does Daniels do best?
Yeah, no, it's what I was going to say is the one dimension's really good. If you're going to be one-dimensional, be elite at it, and he's a very, very good runner.
The only thing that honestly saved me last week, as soon as LSU kept getting down, and I kept betting them to win again, and like at one point it got to like plus 600, and I was like, they're still going to win this game. And yeah, it got a little fluky with the fumble return, but like, I don't know. Like the fact that they fell behind by 17 on the road, and you can talk about what Auburn is or isn't, and I think that's fine, but there's still football players on that team. That's a good team. Is it a great team? Probably not, but like, how many great teams do we have right now? I count like 3.
I'm not even sure I'm willing to go to 3 anymore.
I think Georgia's more banged up. Like, in the end, Georgia needs those receivers to get healthy. And if those receivers get healthy, I think they'll get explosive again.
But like if Bryce Young is limited all season, or if he can't do everything that he does, if he can't throw the ball the way he's capable of throwing the ball, they're not great anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean, if Bryce Young would have got hurt against Texas, they don't win.
Yeah.
I mean, they were in trouble in Fayetteville. I know they ended up blowing it open, but they were in trouble in Fayetteville. If they don't convert that 3rd and 15 and they've got a punt right there, it's iffy.
Yeah, I mean, they were definitely in trouble. I'm not denying that. But in the end, why did they win? Well, they won because Arkansas secondary sucks. And,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like some of those guys it wasn't like those receivers just made big plays. Like, no, they were like wide ass open.
Yeah, Arkansas secondary is so bad that Odom is having to call a game he's not comfortable calling.
Correct.
That's what's happened.
They're having to blitz. They're trying to blow the play up before it can get started, because once the play gets started, they can't do anything.
They're having to run zero coverages and stuff that leave you wide open. And they're trying to make big plays on defense, and they've made a few, but it's not working. And they moved a wide receiver to corner for this week. I mean,
did they really?
Yeah, and Pittman said
the DJ Jones?
No, it's a kid. I can't remember his name.
Remember Womack did that one year or whatever.
Yeah,
Derek Jones,
sorry.
Well, he ended up actually being an NFL corner. The problem was they could. Yeah, anyway, yeah.
They
was
did
that
the deal
the
where
week that Hugh was coaching defense or offense?
Whichever one was going bad, he was coaching the other.
That's right. Yeah, he must have been working with the defense that week.
Freeze is going to get this Auburn job, by the way.
You're going.
I saw you write that. I still think it's early.
He's going to get it.
Now, here's what I will say. I'm always the one that pushes back on Hugh. This time, I do think it's noteworthy. Hugh's been off Twitter. Hugh's been really quiet. I have not seen, ever since he got in that girl's DMs about McCall, like he's not been getting in DMs. That does tell me that
you're saying this because you think the AD thing is done, and then hence he is the choice.
Yes.
And that the Auburn family is willing for Hugh to be their choice.
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm taking note
hey,
of.
but Jeffrey's onto something here.
I'm taking note of how Hugh's reacting.
Yes, the DM thing was a problem and remains a problem, and is frankly a bigger problem for him at Auburn than the massage stuff. The DM thing is a problem there. I'm telling you, I've always joked about it, that the one thing that with Hugh, that if I'm negotiating as a prospective employer, that's non-negotiable for me is we control your Twitter. And I've always joked about it, but I actually think I'm onto something.
No, I have taken notice that Hugh has been very quiet. And by the way, he's like 5-1, 4-1 right now?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, I mean, this is DM season. This is DM and texting season. And notice how little his name is out there right now.
And there's a reason for that. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
if you're
something
Jimmy
tells
Sexton,
me his agent might have finally gotten at least to where he can talk. Like his agent is maybe getting a hold of him.
If you're Jimmy, you have to say to him, "Hey, look, I can do a lot for you, but I can't. If you're going to sabotage yourself, I cannot overcome that. I can't. I cannot babysit you."
No, I like I said, I'm always the guy that pushes back, but I have taken notice that this time it could be real.
I know we don't have much more time with you. Any of these other games stand out? You got anything that's you're just burning a hole in your pocket? You can't wait to put money on?
Well, so I think that there's like the canary in the coal mine scenario for me. It's like, if you want to find out how I'm doing gambling wise, if Kansas and Duke are good in football that year, it's probably a bad year for me. Because like that means like the apple cart has just been flipped over. But like Utah only, what is it? Is it 2.5 or 3? Like, I don't know if y'all have looked at the numbers. Utah absolutely beats the hell out of UCLA. And that's like another one of like my favorite games to bet. But it's also, one of my favorite games to bet every year is Clemson and Wake Forest. Well, that didn't go so well.
Yeah, I took UCLA
now, thank God
this week.
Those good kids last week from that Colton, South Carolina, they took care of business against NC State. I kind of like NC State against Florida State right now. I think Florida State's really banged up.
Yeah,
I like that game a lot. At this point, I really want nothing to do with Texas A&M, Alabama. Doesn't it feel way too obvious?
It's a really big number, and I laid them just because I said all summer that I would lay them, and Saban's going to want to destroy him. Make no mistake, Saban's going to want to kill him.
I understand that, but Saban's also got a bigger game the next week.
He does, and he's got a
quarterback.
And I don't know that if Bryce doesn't play, I don't know that they can cover 20-something. But the fact that line has sort of stayed where it is makes me think that Bryce is playing.
Also, the Georgia-Auburn game is interesting to me in the sense of it almost feels like Auburn's let Harsin get to this game so that he can get absolutely obliterated so they could fire him. But right now, there's just something about Georgia that's not clicking on all cylinders, and I know that means that they could flip a switch this week, and they typically have beaten the hell out of Auburn in this spot. But, man, I don't know, one thing that was nice about last week is it was really confusing to me for like the first 2.5, 3 weeks of the season where I'm like, wait a minute, is Stetson Bennett good? And it was nice last week to be like, nope, that's still him. Yep. He's still here.
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, that's him.
He's come back to the norm.
Yes.
Yeah, he's back to being what he is, and that's one of the things that makes them mortal, is that they have a very mortal quarterback.
Now, a mortal quarterback can become much better if he gets like those 5-star receivers back.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
Like, to me, like, that's the whole deal. It's like, I think if they don't have the receivers, I'm not actually all that concerned about like taking 30 points. Now, if I see those receivers play, they're lined up on game time, then all of a sudden I'm thinking, good God, I wish I would have had 50 instead of 30.
The only other one that I kind of like, I sort of think Missouri's going to just have the letdown. I think they two
I agree with you,
but
I've talked to so many people that think that it has me. I admit, like, I'm spooked right now.
Oh, I have no confidence at all this week. I'm putting together my picks and stuff for my show with Tyler later today, and nothing. I have zero confidence in anything.
I have no confidence week to week.
It's like I'm back in college trying to get a date. I have completely no confidence at all, to the point that I'm like, I think I'll just stay home tonight.
Just gonna skip the week.
I think I'm just gonna hang out at my apartment.
Right, and we've all been there, but like it's different with betting. Even though like I know like I should stay home and do something productive, like I'm sorry, I got to get back out there. Like shoot or shoot. I'm not gonna sit on my couch and watch 14 hours of football and not have some action on it.
No, you double bet your cornerback mentality. The next one, it just takes one.
Oh, listen, we just got to hit one big money line.
One
big one, and we're good.
Shoot or shoot until the coach takes you out for taking too many bad shots.
Well, there's no coach in this one. Well, there is a coach, but so far I haven't had to pay the bookie. I've only had to pay the bookie one time this year, so I'm not my coach. My coach doesn't exactly know where the account is or isn't.
Hey, man, appreciate the time as always. Enjoy the week. How can people listen to your work?
You can download the Odyssey app. You can listen live on 929ESPN.com. We do whatever. Every show goes up on a podcast, the usual. And then you can always follow me on Twitter at JWright929ESPN.
Enjoy your weekend, my man.
All right, guys.
That's Jeffrey Wright. 92.9 ESPN in Memphis joins us each and every Thursday. Always good to have him. I mentioned Walk-Ons earlier in the show. Walk-On Sports Bistro puts everything they've got into bringing you game day with the taste of Louisiana. Dig into their mouth-watering, made-from-scratch Louisiana cuisine like po' boys, gumbo, voodoo shrimp, plus fan favorites like juicy burgers, fresh salads, all in front of 70-plus TVs, 40-plus ice-cold beers on tap. Visit them today in Oxford or Ridgeland. And don't forget the score sale with Dead Soxy is on this weekend. However many points Ole Miss scores at Vanderbilt, up to 60. You can get that % off at deadsoxy.com. They score 38 points, you get 38% off. They score 47 points, 47% off. 55 points, you know the rest. Deadsoxy.com, promo code Rebel Grove. That's good till midnight on Monday. Monday, October the 10th, midnight, the deal ends, so you can load up on your the best socks you'll ever put on your feet at deadsoxy.com.
Yeah, you mentioned Missouri. They are completely my kryptonite. I think I've missed them every week this season. I have no read on them at all. I cannot figure out Mizzou because as soon as I try to give them a little bit of credit, they completely and utterly suck. And then as soon as I consider they suck, they do what they did on Saturday.
They actually played well Saturday.
But then they go play Kansas State and look like raw hell.
I know. I know, and choked against Auburn. Had the game. The game was theirs. It was theirs.
I guess I did get that one, actually. But, ugh. See this, I know we don't typically talk about it much, but the Warriors actually probably disciplining Draymond Green for an altercation from Wednesday with Jordan Poole.
Yeah, you can't punch one of your teammates in practice.
Can't be good moving forward. They've gotten into it multiple times.
Green and Poole?
Yeah, apparently this is not the first incident of this.
Yeah, the problem with Draymond is that's Steph Curry's guy.
Because he's kind of a leader for that organization.
Leader's such a loose word. It's such a.
He's a mainstay that is very connected to Steph Curry.
He is that. He does a lot of the dirty work.
He's one of their dudes.
He is their dude. He's part of basically an NBA dynasty. But yeah, they're probably running out of patience with him.
I guess my question is, if it gets untenable, they get rid of Poole, right?
Depends on where they are in the standings. Depends on what they think. Look, they've got decisions to make here real soon because all these
can't pay everybody.
Everybody can't get paid.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're not going to talk a lot of basketball, but there was a really big basketball game played in Nevada yesterday or day before yesterday between two amateur teams or sort of semi-professional teams. One from France and one in the NBA G League, the Ignite team. And there are a couple of superstars coming to the NBA in a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This Victor Wembanyama.
So he'll be like the first pick next year?
Oh, for sure. And then the guy he played against, Scoot Henderson, they will be the first 2 picks. And they're both supernovas in terms of basketball players. The race to tank this year will be intense.
Joe Burrow, I guess, startling comments and not doing football any favors, told reporters on Wednesday he doesn't remember stretches of high school or college games due to head injuries.
Yeah.
You can read more about that all over the internet. It is everywhere.
Well, one of the doctors advised Tua Tagovailoa. Remember the doctor that was kind of the impetus for the concussion movie that caused a lot of parents to not really encourage their kids to play football? Hand raised. He said he would advise Tua Tagovailoa to retire.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Royals fire Mike Matheny last night. Yeah,
I miss him in St. Louis.
Do you?
Mm-hmm. I loved it.
That was one of the better things.
Yeah.
St. Louis.
When St. Louis fired Mike Matheny, I was like, no.
Don't do competent things.
No, I always wanted them to win just enough. Like, I had Cub friends who were like, man, I hope they lose every game. I'm like, no, you don't. That's Matheny managing. No. You want them to be competent. And that's it. Just good enough.
There is something to it when your rival has the guy who you're not at all scared of, but doesn't suck.
You're like, he's never going to win big. Leave him in.
Yeah. Let him extend this thing 2-3 more seasons.
Yeah.
Just kind of hang on.
I can remember that. Mike Matheny got a contract extension. It's like, yes.
I'd love the Cardinals to win 86 games.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh,
that
sure.
would be fantastic. Like, just win 86 games.
Playoffs start tomorrow. Is that right?
I believe that is correct.
Yeah.
Yes. The
Cardinals and Phillies. I was actually going to listen to that on my drive over.
The Mets, Jeff McNeil won the NL batting title. Everybody pick him out of a lineup. Jeff McNeil.
Yeah, utility guy, good player.
Yeah.
Beat out Freddie Freeman, right?
1 point.
Yeah.
Yep, 1 point. Shohei Ohtani becomes the first player in MLB history to qualify statistically as a pitcher and a hitter. He got his 162nd inning pitched yesterday or day before, and locked that up.
Can we start talking about him properly, please? Future Cub Shohei Ohtani.
Apologize.
Thank you very much.
I feel like you would vote for him over Judge. That's where you're going.
No, I would go with Judge. The numbers are so incredible for Judge.
You would vote for Judge.
And here's the thing. I was listening to this conversation, and I very rarely listen to sports talk because it's maddening.
We do enough of it.
Like, and we do so much of it. Yeah,
extra thought. It better be really damn good.
But they had a really interesting conversation about the MVP. And we've done this before. The V stands for valuable.
Not outstanding.
And if you're doing valuable, it's really not close. Shohei's team sucks. Judge's team does not suck. Is that Shohei's fault? No. But his team sucks. So all of his contributions, how much value did they have? Judge's contributions.
What would they been without him?
What would the Yankees have been without Judge?
What would the Yankees be with Ohtani instead?
I know. What would the Angels be with Judge?
Suck too.
So if you're Ohtani, you go to your agent and go, get me the hell out of here. I want to go someplace where my contributions are appreciated. I want to go to the north side of Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the argument, but valuable can be taken in so many different ways too. Because it's like saying that, well, Ole Miss sucks, so Jeremiah Masoli sucked. No, Ole Miss was 1-11 without Jeremiah Masoli. His WAR in a football season was 4 games.
Yes.
So no,
I know
he was valuable even though they sucked.
So it's. I think Judge is going to win. People are going to vote for Judge, and when people say you can make an argument for Ohtani, it's like, oh yeah, you can make a hell of an argument for Ohtani.
No, it took a remarkable season for Ohtani not to win.
Yeah, I mean, 62 home runs. He hit 310 by the time it was over. He led the American League in RBI.
Did he? Okay.
He's 30 years old. He's a free agent at the end of this season. There are a lot of Pujols comparisons with him that I think are fair. He's an elite player. Got a big body. You wonder what happens as he gets older. There's a chance that some team gives him a 7-8 year deal, and at the end of that contract, it's an albatross. How much money would you give Aaron Judge?
Not as much as I'm giving Ohtani.
Oh, no, I'd give Ohtani whatever he wanted.
I mean, I think he is looking at a deal in the low 40s.
Oh, that's it? Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah, because you can't. Again, we had this conversation. You can't max out both sides because he's not two people.
But he's only 26.
Yeah.
I mean, if what it took for me to get him was 10 years, $500 million, done. Sign it.
And that's about what, as a
Sign
hitter and pitcher combined, that is about what his value is related to the current market. It's
Imagine him in a baseball market where people cared.
They think that he will fall because he's only one human. They think his value will go from 50 to like 43, 44, somewhere in there.
Okay.
There's a discount because an injury affects you in both ways.
I'd give him 10 years, $440 million in an absolute instant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fast jerseys would get bought.
I mean, not my money, but
Ohtani's 28. Yeah, I'd do it. If you told me the last 2 years of that deal were awful, I'd be okay, cool, fine. The first 8 won't be. He's an elite hitter.
Yes. Complete baseball minutia, by the way. They're right there.
He really needs to come to Chicago. Yeah. Just imagine.
You would buy that bobblehead too.
I'd buy a bobblehead.
Jersey.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We'd have one of those fat heads if those are still sold.
I'd go back to the convention.
Yeah, that'd be enough.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Shohei, I'm in. Hell, I might be in anyway. I asked Carson, I said, "You want to go to the Cubs convention?" He's like, "No."
No,
And I thought to myself, "Well, then hell, I just might go by myself."
Baseball minutia. I'm not going to spend 15 seconds on this. They have got to lower the threshold on this pitchers qualifying thing. It's so stupid that you've got to get to 162 innings.
Yeah.
Don't go crazy, but got to back off.
Is that an inning a game? Is that what they're...
Yeah, it's an inning a game. Like, I think last year, 57 pitchers qualified. That's it. Because the example that everybody gives, and I get that it's an anomaly a little bit, and you're picking and choosing and being arbitrary. But a few years ago in 2018, when Chris Sale was dominant for the Red Sox, he was the ERA leader, he won the World Series, the whole deal.
Yeah.
He didn't qualify. He was a few innings away from qualifying, which allowed him to essentially not compete for the Cy Young because people said, well, he didn't technically win the ERA thing, and he lost votes, even though he had the second highest WAR in baseball. And it's like,
yeah, come on.
He threw 157 innings instead of 162.
Yes.
So it eliminated all of his statistical value because look, there's not a more egotistical, rigid environment than the baseball writers of America.
They don't.
Oh my God in hell.
Yes, they don't like the eye test.
Oh God.
They don't like what did you see? You know what you saw.
The numbers.
Yes, I know what I saw. You know a great player when you see a great player.
See where the out of teams that won 100 games, the Braves had the worst record through 50 games of anybody in Major League history.
I'm not surprised.
They had I'd have to go look it up and go find it, but I think they had a 460 winning percentage to the first 50
Is that
games
right?
and then won 100 games.
Since June 1st, they've been a house of fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think their winning percentage to the first 50 was 460.
I'm not a Braves fan per se, but I like that team. I like Snitker. Everything I read about Snitker, I like him. Everything I read about Alex Anthopoulos, I like him.
Great job of locking up young talent.
Oh, genius.
Great evaluations.
Like, they got Harris on this long-term deal that is like, why? I keep like looking at.
You look at Harris and his agent and going, what?
I'm like, well, yeah, but I look at the Cubs and what are you doing? Why are we not doing this? Like, just sign Nico Horner to a long-term deal now. He's a good player. Sign him.
Yeah. In the middle of this thing, they signed Harris and Riley, and everything's cool with Acuna, and it's all right there.
Yeah, it's well, and they did that deal where they stuck to their guns on Freddie Freeman, and Freeman had a great season in LA this year. Great. But they stuck to their guns on Freeman, And even after it kind of went bad, they just said, okay, well, you know what? Let's go do the deal for Olsen. And they signed him to a long-term deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so they got younger at first base. Thought that was a big moment for them. Because it would have been easy. And look, they would still be a great team with Freddie Freeman at first base. He's a great player, but they didn't let his agent or his former agent hold them hostage.
The really trendy pick for a team that could make a run out of kind of the wild card that we're not talking like not the non-Mets category or something is the Mariners. Everybody's jumping on the Mariners.
Yeah, I was listening to the final Cubs broadcast of the season, which was really sad. Don't you hate the last broadcast?
You've gotten a little sentimental over your loss of Pat Hughes for a while.
Yeah, I always do every year. I hate it. I hate at the end, and then Ron Coomer started crying at the end, and I got.
Oh,
sad.
did he really?
Oh, I got sad. Yeah,
Why?
It's the end of a season. I think
they're around each other.
I think there's just baseball on the radio is the only sport that truly survives radio.
It does.
Like you listen to an NBA game on the radio and you're just dizzy. You listen to a college basketball game on the radio and you don't really know what.
Basketball's the worst radio product. Football's kind of in the middle, and baseball can be really good.
Yeah, I listen to some NFL sometimes, like driving. I'll try to get back by noon on Sunday because I've got work to do. But if I'm late, there's a Europe game, so I'll probably listen to Packers Giants driving back on Sunday morning. And you can listen to an NFL game and you just can't get the mental picture. You know what's going on. You can know it's 2nd and 6 at the Green Bay 28, but you don't really see the game.
Yeah, sure.
The really good baseball announcers, and there are a handful of them.
Patience. Just talk.
Well, and you see the game.
Yeah.
You see the game. I mean, honest to God, I'd rather listen to a Cubs game than watch one.
Yeah. Because, like, basketball almost makes me nervous. Johnson to Smith, top of the key to Tim. Oh, my God.
You're just
like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you're just dizzy.
Yeah. Drives, kicks out, blah, blah, blah. Okay, stop.
And like the guy that does the Thunder games, every time they make a three, he goes, cha-ching, it's a Thunder money ball. And you're like, shut up.
Really?
Just say a three.
Does he really?
Yeah, cha-ching, there's another Thunder money ball. And you're like, no.
No matter the score?
Pretty much no matter what.
Oh.
Pretty much no matter what.
Whew.
Yeah, he's very up like this. He's talking like this, and just like, slow down.
Oh God, I've never listened to it, but I bet hockey on the radio is god awful.
I've listened to it. It's unbelievable.
Oh God,
it's unbelievable. The one thing about hockey on the radio is that those guys are. You have to be good at it.
Oh,
you have to be great
because
it's so fast. It's so many names, and the line changes. And if you're really trying to fill in the radio listener as to who made the line change. Where's the puck? Whew. You can't stop.
Your words over 2 hours are just...
You're essentially an auctioneer. And you have to know everybody. You have to know the team. Because you don't have a... You got to know the team. You got to know who number 92 is for Edmonton. And there's a lot of cats on a hockey roster because they're playing 3 lines.
Yeah.
Man.
No, I'm out.
I couldn't do it.
No, see, racing on the radio sounds fun. It's just a horse race over in 2 minutes. Give me the auctioneer kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Because I know, it's
Tell me what Pharaoh's doing down the stretch. We're all good.
Yeah, because you're waiting for him to go, and down the stretch they come. Okay, now we can go.
Because the first part, whatever.
Yeah,
okay,
he's just setting the stage.
Yeah.
And there's Golden Bolt, 22 links behind. You're like, okay, we can forget about Golden Bolt.
Yeah, he's out. Moving on.
Yeah.
I don't.
Ole Miss has the 8th best odds to win the championship at this moment.
Yeah.
The average is plus 7,000. That'd be a fun little $10 bet.
SEC team, it's undefeated.
Sure.
Alabama's fallible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, whatever. Did you see the guy that didn't cash out on Monday? So he put $10 on a 15-leg parlay. He hit 14 of the 15 going into Monday Night Football.
Okay.
He had the Rams money line to complete his parlay. and he could have cashed it for $23,000 prior to the game, but he let it ride trying to win $74,000.
No, you got to take your money.
And lost.
No, take your money.
Take your 23. Thank the gods because
Yes,
you hit
sir.
14 of the 15, and
Because you had what, $100?
it was 10.
$10, and he was going to walk with 23,000.
That is correct.
Cash out, my man.
Yeah, it was a $10 bet on a 15-leg parlay, and he hit the first 14.
No.
And they offered him $23,000 to leave.
Yes, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
What door would you like me to
Had
leave?
the Rams won, he would have won $74,000. Instead, he lost $10.
Our friends at Chat 69, they really
Are they back?
they're back a couple of times. Sammy said I had all my money on Golden Bolt. Yeah, the bots they like that betting talk. Fires them up.
Oh, you think that?
I kind of
You think
wonder.
that? Yeah.
Kind of wonder.
The Rams are so inconsistent and frankly bad in some different ways too. Like it'd be one thing if you had like a throwaway money line where you just threw Alabama against Vanderbilt in for the hell of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but an NFL game, period. There's very few I ever trust enough to do that.
I mean,
and then two, the Rams have been schizophrenic, and the Niners have had the Rams number for the most part.
I mean, listen to these betting lines this week for the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my point. When you hear any of these and go, oh yes, that's easy.
Okay.
Colts plus 3.5 tonight at Denver. Taylor's not playing. Giants plus 8 against Green Bay in London Sunday morning. 8 points. Steelers plus 14 at Buffalo. Pickett making his first start. Atlanta 14.
That's a lot.
A lot of points. Atlanta plus 9.5 at Tampa. Miami without Tua.
I actually kind of like Atlanta plus 9.5 at Tampa. But anyway.
Teddy Bridgewater and the Dolphins giving 3.5 at the Jets. 3.5 point favorite on the road.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. You see what I mean? Chargers go to Cleveland. Chargers laying 2.5 against the Cleveland team that could easily be 4-0. I know they're not, but they could be.
Okay.
Yeah. Houston plus 7 at Jacksonville. This is one I kind of like.
What do you like?
The -7.
Do you?
A little bit.
Ugh.
Here's another one I like, but it's a 7-point line. Vikings -7 at home against the Bears.
By rule in the NFL, if I'm staking this, what we're talking about is a lock, I don't like any line over 7 points because it's just too much in a league that is built on parity.
These are lines that are 7 points.
I'm
kind of out. Okay.
I have to really like the game that's a 3 or 4 point line if I'm doing one of these.
I kind of like Patriots -3 at home against the Lions. Kind of. Not crazy about it. She's pretty. Titans -2.5 at Washington.
I like the Titans there.
I do too. Saints at home in a game they absolutely must win, -5.5 against Seattle.
They're banged up and they suck. No.
Well, Seattle sucks too.
They scored 48 points the other day, though.
Against a Detroit team that cannot stop me.
Yeah.
San Francisco hits the road after their big win. They lay 6.5 against the Panthers. It's a big number. Philadelphia hits the road. They go to Arizona to play Kyler and
the most schizophrenic team in the league.
The team that is awful at home. Philly, but you gotta lay 5.5.
I mean, I would take the Eagles, but
Dallas gets 5.5 at the Rams. Kind of tempting there a little bit. Cincinnati and Baltimore, the Sunday night game. The Bengals get 3 on the road.
Ooh.
It's interesting.
And you're not taking it. But
no, it's interesting. And then the Monday night game's another 7-point line in a division rivalry game. It's the Raiders +7 at the Chiefs.
No.
I'm not touching it.
No.
They know each other too well. Man, I mean, you want to bet the NFL? Trying to make real money? You're an idiot. I say that, and I can't find 10 college games that I like. And I really liked the Niners the other night, but by then I just had no confidence in anything, and so I didn't touch it. I'm like, I don't want to be up all night worrying about this. And then as it unfolded, I was like, why didn't I just trust myself? Because your confidence can get shook betting.
Oh, where you hate every game. Literally, no matter what, you go, I don't know, Vanderbilt could beat Alabama. I mean, what?
Well, I mean, I was watching Missouri and Georgia. I mean, there were people that were like, oh, this is the bet of the year. Lay the 28. Hell, Missouri's up double digits in the second half. You know, what the hell is this?
There's an interesting story, and I haven't read the whole thing. I've been kind of skimming it. A deep dive into Paul Chryst ousted Wisconsin and why they made decisions they did and different things. It's interesting.
What's the thesis so far?
Frankly, that it's not anything he overly was doing wrong. It's that he is probably even beyond. He's almost too nice, and he is a level of loyal beyond probably even beyond Cutcliffe. I mean, like. Way, way, way loyal, and they did not believe that he literally had it in him to make any changes to that program, even being forced to do things to make them better because they're slipping.
Too good of a guy.
Well, not even that. Just, I mean, seriously, like he believed in his friends, and he was not going to make changes, and he was just sticking with process and not doing anything different. And then in combination with having to figure out this Leonard Leopold thing. And going, hey, we let him do this for 18 more months, and we have a problem.
And he took the negotiated buyout because, A, he'll get all the money, $11 million, and it lets him go coach.
Yeah, it won't be a hindrance to buyouts and payoffs and all that kind of stuff moving forward.
I talked to another coach the other day who said, man, I wouldn't have done that. I'm on a beach. And he's not on a beach. This guy just wants to coach football. He just wants to coach football. So he'll go coach football on somebody's staff. And he gets all of his 11. His Monday wasn't, like, for someone like you or me, Monday would have been awesome. I'd have been like, hey, you know what? I've never played this golf thing, but I think I'm going to start now. And he was like, no, I need to coach football.
Yeah, it's just little bitty stuff. Like it says, one parent of a player said Chryst and his coaching staff deserve credit for putting the ownership on the players. But that kind of freedom can also create potential conflict. You see some programs that are controlling about what you're going to wear when you get off the bus, the parent said. How are you going to represent? What are you going to say? How are you going to go to the podium? Are you going to have sunglasses and a hat on? Are you going to be professional? He let the kids have that role. He let them make decisions. I think that did not help the cause. I'll put it to you that way. Everybody's doing different things. There was very little organization inside the program. Essentially, almost kind of ran it in a way NFL, in a way not at all NFL, right. Where hey, everybody just sort of do what you want to do, and we all show up and try to work together, and there was no – well, you lost culture. You lost what Alvarez had done a great job of at Wisconsin for a long time, and what Brett did a pretty good job of was they had a specific culture at Wisconsin, and it kind of slipped a little bit.
In an NFL locker room, you can let the players run it because they're on a good team, there are veterans that if the rookie comes in and acts like an idiot, the veterans they handle it. Like I was reading Jason Hayward talking about when he broke into the major leagues with the Braves. You had Chipper Jones was there. David Ross was there. There were people in that clubhouse that all he had to do was just observe. And he figured out how to be a professional. You get that in you don't get that in a college setting.
They're younger.
It's very, very rare anyway.
Less mature. Hadn't been around. Like here, another quote. Again, you can go read the story, but the talent's there. Another parent said, players take on the personality of their coaches. As much as everyone hates PJ Fleck, you look at the guy and you look at how his team responds to him. There's emotion and toughness. The more talent you have, the harder you have to coach because you have to break through the ego at times. You start getting into these higher rankings, and these kids that are really good, they're coming in, and now you throw on top of that the NIL deals. I can tell you if you watch Ryan Day coach, he holds everyone accountable, and I think that's really the biggest thing. I think this year you're seeing that. There are blown assignments everywhere, and there's literally no accountability to it. You let the culture slip.
I can tell you, without going into detail, that NIL has created issues for programs. Now, I'm all for it. I'm for the kids getting paid. Put that out there. Not being the old man yelling at the clouds. That's not what I'm saying. But I can tell you that it has absolutely been an occasional headache for programs.
I'm sure.
And yes, if anybody thinks I'm including Ole Miss, the answer is yes. I am absolutely including Ole Miss. I will not be specific. It's not fair to the kid. But it's been a headache. It's something else to manage. And no, it's none of the guys we have shows with. So for anybody that goes there. And it's more than one guy. It's multiple players. It's everywhere. And this is a program that's run pretty tight. Lane runs a pretty tight ship. It's the funny part about all the Kiffin stuff. People think Kiffin's like the whole fun-loving, it's just a carnival out there. It's like, no.
No, it's very regimented.
That's a regimented.
If you listen to his words, it's constantly, hey, I know you came from wherever where y'all did it a certain way. This is the way we do it.
Yes.
There's a standard. This is it.
Yes.
You don't have to talk to Chris Partridge for more than about 3 seconds to realize he has a very clear way he is going to want you to do something.
Yes.
I mean, and it is not up for negotiation.
No. Not even a little bit.
Chris is a hard dude.
Yes.
It's go.
Yes. And yet there's stuff now that when Chris was at Michigan, for example, that you didn't have to deal with, that you deal with now. When Lane was at Alabama, even at a program where, they were recruiting high-level kids, obviously. There was stuff that didn't exist there. No one had an NIL deal. Yeah, sure. Guys got paid, of course.
Sure.
But it was different. It's different now.
Yeah, it's coaches are either going to manage those things or they're going to fail, one or the other. The ones who can manage that the best are the ones that are going to put sustainable programs on the field for multiple seasons.
Yeah.
Where you just tick and move. And you grow a culture and a reputation where guys come in and go, no, hey, I'm choosing that, and I get this is it. Like we're buying in. We're here. We've
talked about it many times. It is the secret to Alabama's success. Mm-hmm. That you can recruit that many high-level players. It's the part that always kind of bugs me when people do, well, the only reason Alabama wins is because they go out and they get all the best players. Well, that helps. Make no mistake. And that's a big part of it, but that's not the only reason. The part that he doesn't get enough credit for is over what is now 20 years at least at 2 programs.
Yeah, sure. They buy in.
He gets great players to buy in, to put team over me, and they win, and then they go to the NFL. He basically has convinced them, if you come here and buy into the process and follow it, we will benefit and you will benefit.
And sometimes wait.
And you have to wait. Often.
Wait's hard. That's the toughest part. So
yeah, for sure.
All
right. So let's see what we got today. We got Pete's Pigskin Preview presented by Walk-Ons. That's at 4. You can get it. You can watch the premiere at 4, and then we'll have it in podcast form. Although, listen, I'm just going to tell you this again. I say this every single week. It's a broken record. This week especially, it's all film. Like we get to film 7 minutes in, and it's just film. And if you're listening to it, it would be like listening to a hockey game, probably, but worse. Listen to it, please. And thousands of you did last week, and I thank you. But if you want to really benefit from it, you need to watch it on YouTube. Butcher versus Spin Instructor at 6, presented by LB's Meat Market. I'll have that up. It's already ready to go. And then Chase and I will be back at 7 for a hand raise, guys. Ben Mintz will join in hour number 1. We'll take your calls in hour number 2.
And a ton of content yesterday, by the way, on the podcast network. There was like 6 shows that went up yesterday. So go pick, choose, have at it.
Our picks are up.
Listening to them all, whatever you'd like.
Neal's picks are up, presented by Service Specialist. Also, Chris Lee and I exchanged questions and answers. So not only could you hear Chris Lee yesterday, you could read Chris at rebelgrove.com. So a lot there.
We will be back tonight. Again, a lot of stuff on the network, and we'll talk to you then. Have a good day.